Welcome to the Fulfilling the Mission podcast. I'm Brandon Isle for BYU-Idaho Radio. The mission of BYU-Idaho is to develop disciples of Jesus Christ who are leaders in their homes, in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and in their communities. In this podcast, we're exploring how teachers in each of the colleges and departments are fulfilling that mission. And we're in the Welcome Center here today in the Manwaring Center, and joining me are Elaine Wagner, who's the chair of the Mathematics Department, and Annaka McClelland. You're a student majoring in data science. Thanks for being with me today.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
It's so fun to be here and to talk about these different departments. And you're the math department, and I think you have almost every student come through your department before they graduate.
Yeah,
they have to.
It's a huge privilege to get to teach almost every student that comes to BYU-Idaho. And it's amazing to meet all the incredible people that are here and learning and growing. So yeah, it's a great thing about the math department.
Yeah, let's dive in first, kind of jump into what programs you offer, and then we can talk about all the other fun things, and you can tell us about your experiences in the mathematics department. So first of all, what degrees do you offer students?
So we have a mathematics degree, right? If you want to look at pure mathematics, it's applied to the real world. We have a new statistics degree, and you can specialize in biostatistics, or you can go into actuarial science, or you can go into more of a pure statistics if you want to go on to grad school. And we also have a math education. And we have data science, which is where Annaka fits in.
Yeah, how did you get involved with data science?
I took a professional certificate from Google in data analytics.
So you were interested already?
Yeah, well, because I was an econ major, because I just liked econ. And then I was kind of like, don't really want a career in that. And so I wanted like a little bit of kind of like a certificate or something to give me just a taste of what it would be like. And like you always heard like big data, machine learning, right? Those are being thrown around a lot. And so I took the certificate, loved it, was going to go into computer science because I didn't realize we had data science, because most colleges don't, which really is what kind of puts BYU-I a little bit above, at least in data science. And once I saw data science, I was like, this is exactly what I want to do. And so I switched and never looked back.
So how did you find out about the program?
I was Googling it. I was at BYU-Idaho.edu, and I was looking at the computer science stuff, and I was looking at the classes to be like, okay, yeah, this is what I want. And then, I don't know, it had like this link to data science, and I clicked on that, and I was like, this is way better. Not way better, my bad. It's way more applicable to what I want to do. And so I was like, yeah, immediately, I think it was that day, I was like, I called the academic advisor, and I was like, can you like switch my major and then add like some minors and certificates just to fluff it up a little bit?
Yeah, so you're there, and you're a senior now, so about to graduate next semester.
Next semester.
Yeah, how does that feel?
Weird. It's like the last time registering is coming up. That's kind of trippy. It's just things like that where it's kind of like, it does not feel like I've been here 4 years, and there's so much more to learn. And so I'm really excited for the next step, but I'm also really enjoying just being here.
Yeah. Do you find that a lot, Elaine, that students, they kind of get into the program and they want to learn more and more and more? And I know there's so many different math classes. How do you kind of help guide students to find exactly what they want to learn?
Yeah, well, we have a pretty good team of mathematicians there that can help students figure out where they want to go. We can differentiate between our data science students and our statistics students by looking at how you want to deal with questions, how you want to deal with data. Our statistics, we're really looking at if you have a question, how can you gather data to understand that question? And our data science is more like, ooh, I have all this data. What is it telling me? So we can look at it kind of that data idea from two different perspectives, and it really depends on where the student wants to go. Our math ed students, most of those feel like they have a calling. They come to BYU-Idaho with a love of mathematics and a love of teaching and wanting to work with children. And so a lot of them come with that idea that they want to be there. And our mathematical science students, right, they just find their love. right? They find their love for the structure and the beauty of mathematics, and that helps them there. But we have professors that'll help along the way and say, hey, you're really talented at this. This is an opportunity for you. Look at these ideas.
Yeah. Tell me about some of the career paths that mathematics and statistics and data science, where are these students ending up when they get jobs?
We really have students that are going all over. As we started to look at where our jobs are, I mean, it runs the gamut from the National Security Agency to working at Walmart headquarters. Annaka has a great job right now. Tell them about that.
Yeah, I'm a technical data analyst for John Deere. And so hopefully when I go to my full-time position, I'll be able to be a data scientist or a machine learning engineer. That's the goal. But even just within data science, right, there's so many different jobs that are being created every day. It's like you kind of have to be a little creative when you're like looking for jobs, because like anything with data in it, they can put, you know, data analyst, business analyst, right, data engineer, machine learning engineer. They like throw the words together because they're still trying to like find what suits it best.
Yeah, and they may not, I mean, it's kind of new, some of these fields, right?
Yeah, especially for data, yeah.
They are. What's exciting about data science is it's an and, right? You can do this and say you love fashion. Well, you can go into the fashion industry and do data there. Or I love sports, and so I want to do the analytics for sports, because every team has a data analyst. Every professional team has a data analyst that's associated with it to help pull out performance. You could do that in finance. You can do it in all sorts of places. I mean, agriculture. So if you have that a love and an understanding of the mathematics, you can tie it to any field that you want to go into, and you can target those ideas that you want to move forward to. And that's really exciting. Our statistics majors and our math majors frequently are getting hired. They'll go on to get graduate degrees, but they'll also go into, say, actuarial science, which is working with risk management, so insurance agencies. Those are some really high-paying jobs that have really good job satisfaction. In fact, in our space, there are really great jobs with high job satisfaction and high salaries, and that's definitely a plus. We have our data science majors are coming out with, you know, $80,000 to $90,000 job offers with what they're doing, and opportunities
so math is the place
for growth.
To start.
It's a great place to start for that, and a great place to find people that are analytically minded and want to pursue that and see those ideas.
Yeah.
And what we were talking about earlier is that, like, you know, obviously, like, we're both huge advocates for the math program. We're not trying to, like, you know, force it down on people, but it is, like she was saying, it's really fun to do what you like to do, and like it's kind of like a jigsaw puzzle and like trying to figure things out, and people happen to pay you lots of money for it. You know, it's kind of a win-win. And so if people are on the fence, it's always like, just try it out, like take a couple classes, and when people do that, they usually then switch on over.
Yeah. Do you run up against so many people always say, oh, well, I'm not good at math, or I hate math, but I think maybe they didn't have the right teacher, or maybe it didn't hit them right. How do you kind of combat that?
Well, part of it is that the math that you do in, say, elementary school and high school is like practicing. It's like learning the rules of the game, and you spend 12 years learning the rules of the game and you never get to play.
Right.
And so that just feels terrible, and people will think they're good at math because they can do the times tables fast. And that's not really what mathematics is, right? We need those connections to what the real world is doing. And so I've worked specifically in a couple of places in my career, but one of those places is developing the Math for the Real World course. And so I see students from all over the university, and there are some that really struggle with math and that have had these bad experiences and decide that they aren't good at it. But the truth is that as divine sons and daughters of God, we have infinite capacities, and we can do whatever the Lord needs us to do. And frequently, the Lord, He will help us understand the math that we need to do to be successful as we go into the adult world, right? And so we focus on that, making good decisions using math, making good decisions using numbers. And it's not just about finding X. I think in your in your college career, you don't do that as much, and you get to understand those ideas. But I mean, in my experience that I've worked in California and here with a lot of students that struggled in math is that everyone can do it. And sometimes they just need taught a different way, they need a little more time understanding something, or they need connections to the world around it. And then we see that people feel more empowered just to do whatever they want to do in their lives, to be a better mom or a better citizen or to go into a different career, but they're empowered because they feel like, oh, I can do this, I can use these tools, I can understand this, I'm able to understand my finances or my taxes or even just help my kid with their homework. So it's really empowering if they can lose the mindset that they're not good at it.
Do you have like light bulb moments in classrooms where students all of a sudden, oh, this is not what I was doing before, this actually makes a difference in my life?
Yeah, I have a lot of those light bulb moments that happen. And so in dealing with those students that really struggle with mathematics, just letting them know, hey, you can do all of this. And we have tools now that can help us with so much of it, that it's not about, can you do your times tables fast enough anymore, right? And they get that light bulb moment and feel like, I understand this, I can use this is something I can do going forward. And that's why you become a teacher. That's a beautiful moment, whether it's somebody that's struggling to do their basic math or somebody that's struggling in their calculus class. Those beautiful moments are there when they connect it up. And that's the best thing ever.
Yeah, thank you for that. Annaka, is it Annaka or Annaka?
Annaka.
Annaka, thank you. Have you had any of those moments in your classes where all of a sudden it just made sense?
Yeah, I will say like mine is math, but then we also do code. And so, yeah, kind of like you're saying, it's not always finding X, but it's finding like the theory behind it. And I've had amazing teachers. And so there are definitely times where like you kind of have flashbacks to high school and I'm like, oh, I remember not liking this. But then you kind of like put it in a code or you like talk about it in class, and just something about the environment is a little bit different. I have a handful of times where I was like, oh, that's actually like way more simple than I thought it was going to be. And like as a data lab tutor, people will come in and they'll have issues, and it's like, it is fun to see. I could definitely not be a teacher for a class, that's just not my gift. But in like little snippets for the data lab tutor, it is really fun to see people kind of like get to understand and no longer be scared of this new language or this new math course that they're taking, and they're able to take it with confidence and like just in stride. And yeah, I like it. Yeah. It's fun.
So you're a tutor. The math department has a lot of resources to help students. And with so many students coming in, I mean, you have some who know math very well and some who are trying to run away from the math department. Yeah, exactly. Tell me about some of the resources and just how students can get help.
Okay. Well, we partner up with the Academic Success in Tutoring. And so there's tutoring for the math classes starting from 108 and above that you can have a one-on-one tutor. You can have 3 hours a week with one-on-one tutoring, and it's free here at BYU-Idaho. That's a huge gift, really, for students.
And you were at some other colleges before coming here.
I was, yeah.
Very different?
Very different, yeah. And our tutors are well trained. They're trained on the projects for the particular courses that they're doing and working on. So we have a lot of math tutoring that are there. We get our math ed students into the tutoring center so they can practice with people and have their aha moments and watch other people do that too, to decide if that's what we want. We encourage tutoring in our classes, so we have TAs in our classes that can help. Sometimes students feel reluctant to reach out to a professor and I don't know, they feel like maybe they're bothering them or that's not what they're for, but and so they feel more comfortable reaching out to a TA, so we try and do that as well. But we have regularly established office hours, and our faculty are there to help and bless students' lives. What we want is for them to be successful, and that is through all those disciplines that we have. People are dedicated to that. So they want to connect up with students and work with them. And then we have a data science society, but also the data science lab to help with some of the coding ideas and
so
issues.
Just a drop-in lab. Like if you have a question, we're there from 4:30 to 6:30, and they come in and we help them with whatever issue they're having. And then hopefully like give them a little bit more confidence going forward. But yeah, like to your point, like I've gone to professors a ton, and every single time they're like very welcoming. They're like more so excited that I'm there. They're like, okay, someone's taking me up on this, and we're able to just go a little bit deeper into what they're teaching, and never ever have been turned away.
Yeah, I think that's like a key to success at college, is to get to know your professors and see them as people that want to help you. And that makes a big difference.
We have, the teachers, that's why we're here, right? We're not having to do research, not having to worry about tenure and things like that. We're here for the students, trying to teach them the things that we already know. And it's, I don't know, it's a relief maybe. Maybe you felt that, I don't know.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Tell me about the internships. I know internships are big in most of the departments on campus. What kind of internships are students getting in the math department?
Well, it depends on the major that they're going into. So for our math ed, if somebody wants to be a teacher, we get them into the schools really early on so they can see, is this for me? So they go in and start practicing. And they're doing that in their freshman, sophomore year to be able to get in and help out. And then they do student teaching later on in a math classroom, which is really great. So we have that program that runs really well in math ed. And in data science, we're looking at getting people in. We start with that data science society where they can just kind of get their feet wet doing some projects and seeing what it's like in the real world. And then they get into internships and senior projects that pull them together. And boy, our internships and projects, they really run the gamut in all sorts of different areas that you can do. And we work with some local businesses, we're working with sports teams, we're working with some BYU-Idaho technology issues that are here and helping out with all sorts of different things. Doing some in-house stuff with that.
Which is how I got my job, was going through, and doing hackathons, but also Data Science Society, because you're working with actual companies, doing actual work for them, and that always puts you ahead. And I'm like part of DSS for 3 years now.
And that's the society?
Yes,
Data Science Society.
Okay. And it's huge, because you can tell immediately people kind of like shrug off imposter syndrome when they're there, because they're like, oh, like I can do this. I can, use my skills that I've learned, and especially when it's the like freshmen, sophomores, really trying to be like, okay, like start applying for internships now, make sure that you can get a couple in, make sure that you actually like what you're doing. And it's huge. Yeah, exactly what you said. Like it's so huge in finding those jobs that are gonna be paying well for stuff that you just love doing.
So you're working for John Deere, you said, and what do you do for them?
Just as a technical data analyst, they give me a lot of data, which usually isn't super clean. And so I have to go in and just write different functions and use different data pipelines to clean it up. And then occasionally like create an app or create a dashboard that takes all this data and makes it look pretty for other people who don't like looking at data.
Those are a lot of skills that you're bringing together.
Data science really covers a ton, because like it's a growing industry that never stops. And so the languages we're using, the coding platforms we're using are always evolving and growing, and like people are creating more and more. And so they just try to really install like the way of thinking and the way of processing logically of the step-by-steps that you need. And then when you're out in industry, you're like, I need to learn this language. I can do it.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal.
Always learning the next one. Yeah. So it sounds like the society is pretty active.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest on campus.
Yeah, that's so cool. And you got your internship and job just through that society. That's so cool. You mentioned hackathon.
Yeah.
I've got to dig into that a little bit. Tell me about the hackathon.
So we have a couple here at BYU-I. There's also like at UVU and USU, they have hackathons. And so basically you just code for 24 hours and they give you a couple prompts and
you're in teams.
Yes, so you get to create a team. They're usually pretty small, like 2 to 4 people. And they provide food and they provide like workshops, and you always get prizes if you win. But it's just a really good opportunity to like, be like, oh, I've been thinking about this project. but I haven't had time for it. So you're like, I might as well just do it at a hackathon, present it, and if they like it, you get like an extended monitor or something.
Yeah, that's cool. Is this something that the math department sponsors, or?
The math department and the computer science department work together with that one. Computer science and engineering department are working together with that one, and they share a lot of classes. We share a lot of classes for data science, so it's a bridge between those two departments that we work through.
Yeah, that's the cool thing is there is a lot of overlap in some of the programs.
Right.
And working together, it helps just make it better. Right?
Exactly.
Now, tell me about the classroom setting. BYU-Idaho is trying to develop disciple leaders, and we bring the gospel into everything we do, and that includes math. And you alluded to it earlier, but tell me more about how you can do that purposefully in your classrooms.
Well, Galileo Galilei said mathematics is the language with which God wrote the universe. And if we start to look at mathematics that way and to understand that this comes from the Lord, and to draw those connections that happen there, then we can bring those ideas into the classroom. We really work to share our discipleship as teachers, to talk about ideas of how they connect. We sometimes run into the same issues that science does, that people think you can't understand mathematics and still believe in God. You can't. There's a clash there, and so we really talk consciously about the idea of how those two things are intertwined, and how the Lord can use ideas like this and build ideas like computer systems and data and all those libraries to do His work, and how that's happening in the world around us. And so we try to point those things out. We try and share those ideas with our students. And I had a friend that's teaching there that said, we try and serve as examples of analytically minded people who are devoted to the Lord, and we share how we've wrestled with some of the conflicts that have come up with that, and how we love the Savior and want to be part of that. So.
Yeah, thank you. Have you noticed that in the classroom?
Yeah, oh, for sure. Like, there's a couple of professors, Brother Cannon and Brother Hathaway. Sometimes we dive so deep into the moral and how these two worlds combine. It's the entire class we're talking about it.
Yeah. He's
at the very end, they're like, and work on this homework.
By the way, you do have homework.
Yeah, by the way, focus on that. But yeah, because it is something that, people have a lot of questions about, of do we have moral responsibility when working with data? What if they're asking us to manipulate it or bias it? Or, just do something that's against what we've been taught here at this school. And so we go into detail there. We go into detail about the universe, right? And how, you said it perfectly, of how math created everything. You can always find, formulas. And so, it's definitely been a big part.
Yeah, thank you. Last question for both of you. How does the mathematics department develop disciple leaders and fulfill the mission of BYU-Idaho?
Well, I think we focus again on that discipleship in our department. We have regular discussions about it, right? To make sure that we're sharing that with our students in a natural way. But we also are really focusing on the ideas of creating leaders that can serve in their homes and in their families and in their communities. And one of the ways that we believe that is important for leadership is to be able to critically think about ideas and to use quantitative reasoning and to understand studies that are coming out, and to be able to make good choices about that. So that decision-based idea that helps people make those good decisions in their life and to lead those people in their communities and in their world around that. So we have a pretty strong bias about understanding and critically thinking about the world around us and using logical structures that are found in mathematics to be able to do that.
Yeah. And we start every class with a prayer. We start it, with a devotional. And so it's always in the front of our minds. And then along with what you're saying about kind of divine discontent of, that's not rebellious, that's not weakness, that's you using the knowledge and just that logical way of thinking to be how can I understand this better, applies to the gospel as it does to just the world around us, especially with like new theories and new research and the data that we're working with. And so just to have that like not only moral compass, but like that mathematical compass, I think it ties beautifully together.
Yeah, thank you. Annaka McClelland and Elaine Wagner, thank you so much for joining us on the Fulfilling the Mission podcast.
Yeah, it's been a
Thank
pleasure.
you. Yeah, it's been wonderful.